Hey, Andrew here from mynexttablet.com. Today with an unboxing video of the new Apple iPad mini. Let's get started. Alright, let's start the unboxing of the new Apple iPad mini that's available in many countries since Friday now. And yeah, let's start this unboxing. It starts at $499 and if you're living in Europe, it starts at 549 euros. So it's quite a bit cheaper than the iPad Pro. Inside the box, we get the tablet itself, of course. That's the new iPad mini design. Then we get the standard paperwork like the warranty and quick start guide and also some Apple stickers. And then there's the standard USB-C cable and of course the charger, and that's it, nothing else is inside the box. Yes, since I shot the first part of this video, about 2 or 3 days have passed already and I did spend quite a lot of time with this iPad mini already. And now I can tell you a bit more about this very small tablet. It's very interesting. I really like small 8-inch tablets, but there hasn't been many new 8-inch tablets recently, especially in the high end. So the iPad mini has almost no competitors. Well, you can see the design here. We're getting an 8.3-inch screen. And you can see it next to the iPad Pro here. It's quite a bit smaller. Because it's 8.3 inches and not 11 inches. But it's always nice to see a comparison. So you can notice it really is quite a bit smaller. It certainly does fit in your hand. So in just one hand, you can carry it like this quite nicely. Of course, if you've got much smaller hands, then it's not that possible. But my hands are relatively small already. We've got relatively slim black screen bezels here. Then there's one 12 megapixel wide angle camera, and that camera is new. It's ultra wide angle, just like on the new iPad Pros and also like on the new iPad 9. That means it also supports center stage. So if you're using Zoom or Skype or other voice or other video calling apps, then it will follow you around like a camera that follows you around. That's very nice. On the back, we are getting a full metal body. It is a very premium feeling and it has a new design. The first time that the iPad mini got a real big redesign. It's 6.3 millimeters slim and weighs 293 grams. There's this Apple logo here. We get a 12 megapixel camera on the back and an LED flash. On the bottom here, we've got a USB-C port. You can also use it to connect external SSDs and other USB accessories. Then there are 2 speakers here and 2 speakers here. And the sound quality is really, really good, especially for such a small tablet. And that also means it will be the best 8-inch entertainment tablet. The one competitor from Samsung is the Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 3, but that's meant for more outdoor rugged use and does not have good speakers at all. So that one in this regard is not a direct competitor because it's not meant as an entertainment tablet. The iPad mini can be an entertainment tablet too. Then we've got volume rockers over here. Usually they're on this side, but I will show you soon why it's not on this side. And then we've got the power button here, and inside the power button is the Touch ID fingerprint scanner built in, just like on the iPad Air. So there's no Face ID, but Touch ID works very fast and seems very reliable. I mean, Apple has used this technology for many years now, and yeah, they can handle it very well. Nothing on this side. And then on this side, we've got this little strip here, which you can use to charge the Apple Pencil 2. That is the same pen that works with the iPad Pro and iPad Air. And now for the first time, the Apple Pencil 2 is supported on the iPad mini. The previous generations supported the first Apple Pencil only, which does not work now with the iPad mini. So only the Apple Pencil 2. So if you're using the previous iPad mini, you've got to buy a new pen. That's a bit of a disappointment, but I always like that you can charge it like this. And you can see the iPad mini is almost as tall. I mean, you can see that the Apple Pencil is almost as tall as the iPad mini, and that's why there are no volume rockers over there on this side as they usually would be. Now let's get to the screen. This is an 8.3-inch IPS display. Apple calls it liquid retina display. So it did get a bit bigger compared to the previous iPad mini, which had a 7.9-inch screen. Now it's 8.3 inches. It's 500 nits bright, so as bright as the iPad Air, but not as bright as the 600 nits iPad Pro. But it's still quite bright. It's fully laminated, which is nice, and viewing angles are pretty good as well. So overall, this is quite a nice screen. It is very sharp. It has a resolution of 2266 by 1488 pixels, and text and icons do look very sharp. And I watched YouTube with it already, and yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch YouTube. The speakers are pretty good, the screen is good, so it's a nice YouTube or entertainment tablet. I said it already. Now there's one downside with the screen. If you're holding it at portrait orientation and are scrolling, you can see a kind of rolling shutter or jelly effect. Like you can see the slow motion video here, and it's not as bad when you see it like without slow motion, but it's also not that nice. I mean, we had this effect on the 60Hz Samsung AMOLED screens too. That's the same problem. And I also noticed this problem on the Lenovo Yoga Tab 13. The review will be out very soon. So quite a lot of screens that are 60 Hz, like this iPad mini screen, do have this problem. It's not amazing. It's not a huge deal. Usually, if you don't know about it, many don't recognize it. Like I didn't recognize it previously with a lot of Samsung tablets early on, until somebody told me, until I saw it, and then you cannot not see it. So I'm a bit sorry if you wouldn't have seen it before, if you wouldn't have noticed it. Now you probably will notice it, but I mean, it's my job to point out some failures that the manufacturers put into their devices. And that's certainly one aspect that is not amazing. Not a deal breaker, I think, but also not amazing. Once Apple switches to 120 Hz, this effect should go away, but there's no 120 Hz 8-inch tablet at the moment. Now the 120 Hz screen is one reason why the iPad mini is not as amazing for note-taking as the iPad Pro is. The iPad Pro has 120 Hz. Because this is a 60 Hz screen, it sometimes can look like the writing is lagging behind the pen a bit, especially when you draw very fast. Now it's not a huge problem either. All 60 Hz screens have this happening. That's why many manufacturers switch to 120 Hz on the high-end tablets. But yeah, that's just something I want to point out. Otherwise, this iPad mini is fantastic for handwriting and for drawings. The Apple Pencil 2 works very well. It's very precise. Everything looks and works great. I always love this scribble feature that you can use handwriting in pretty much every text field. That's very nice. And software, on the software side, the Apple Pencil is supported very well. Like the Samsung Notes app supports handwriting recognition and works just great. And you can also use tons of apps from the App Store that supports the Apple Pencil. For instance, Photoshop, you can see me working with it here. Photoshop runs great on the iPad mini. And yeah, you can use the Apple Pencil inside Photoshop. So the Apple Pencil, yeah, I love that it does support the Apple Pencil 2 now, and it works very well as a note-taking tablet since it's so small, very handy. So if you're taking a lot of notes, this might be a great tablet for you. Inside the Apple iPad mini sits an Apple A15 Bionic processor. That's the same chipset that was introduced together with the new iPhone. And we also get 4 GB of RAM and a 64 or 256 GB internal storage. There's no micro SD card slot, but you can get it with optional 5G. You can see in my Geekbench 5 benchmark comparison here that the iPad mini is faster than every Android tablet and also much faster than the Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 3, which is the only other premium 8-inch Android tablet out there right now. It also is a little bit faster than the iPad Air, but not too much, just a little bit. So it's a very powerful tablet, and that also means you can play pretty much every game with highest graphics settings. You can see me play Call of Duty here, and yes, graphics are set to its highest, and it does run very smooth, as you can see. And that should go for pretty much every game, because as I said, this is the same processor as in the new iPhone, and pretty much no game developer, I think, will release a game that's too powerful for the newest iPhone. So yeah, this should be quite a good gaming tablet for years to come. That goes for other applications too. You should be fine editing videos with here, of course. I mean, the Apple A15 processor is very fast, and you can see me using Lightroom here, which also is a great app for the iPad platform. Yeah, and it just works just as on other high-end iPads like the iPad Pro or iPad Air. Now let's take a quick look at the software. The iPad mini is the first tablet that directly ships with iPadOS 15. That's also available for all other current iPads. And one big highlight of iPadOS 15 are the widgets that can be placed everywhere on the home screen now. Of course, Android had this pretty much since forever, and now iPadOS has it too. Another new feature is the app library. That means that you can see every app now in the app library, and they don't have to sit on the home screen if you don't want to. You can just remove them and have just widgets or just one app, just a couple of apps, and everything else is in the app library. That's something new in iPadOS 15. Another new feature is this multitasking button here. You can easily open two apps side by side like this. Of course, Apple supported this feature for many years now, but they just improved this multitasking button a little bit. You don't have to use gestures now. So yeah, that's iPadOS 15. It's the same software that also runs on the iPad Pro now and on the iPad Air, just the same. One thing I noticed is that there's quite a big margin where nothing is happening on the home screen, like here. Maybe Apple just like reduced the UI from the iPad Pro and iPad Air a bit, and that's why there's this big margin. Maybe they could have used the space a bit bigger, because everything is a little bit small, especially here at the bottom. It looks quite small, but yeah, it's not a big deal or so, just something I noticed. And of course, the great thing about iPads is the software support. You can get many apps that are optimized for tablets that you can't get like that for Android, and Photoshop is one example. You can't get almost real Photoshop for Android, but for iPad and for the iPad mini you can. That's always great, the large selection of apps inside the App Store. Alright, that's my unboxing and first impressions of the new iPad mini. I have to start my proper review now. It will be released in a couple of weeks, but my first impressions are very good. I love this new design. It basically looks like a small iPad Air, but it's still small and I like it. The software is great. The performance is very, very good. The Apple Pencil here is very nice to have with such a small tablet. I'm sure for many it can be a great note-taking tablet. The screen is pretty good too, but there's this rolling shutter jelly effect issue, which is not amazing, not a huge deal, but really not amazing either. So that certainly is one downside that I could find in such a short time. I hope there won't be many more, because otherwise, yeah, there's almost no competition actually. Even if I find another few smaller issues, if you want a high-end 8-inch tablet, the iPad mini is pretty much the only tablet you can get at the moment, because Samsung does not want to release a small Galaxy Tab S tablet. I don't know why. I wish they would, but they don't. And otherwise you can only get cheap 8-inch tablets like the Amazon Fire HD8 series or the Lenovo Tab M8, which are all on the lower end and are missing all premium features and are certainly not as fast as the iPad mini. So there's really almost no competition to this tablet. Alright, if you have any questions, write them down below and then I will try to include them in my final review. Alright, that's been my unboxing and hands-on from the new Apple iPad mini. I'm Andrzej from mynexttablet.com. Thanks for watching and see you next time.